And as we are keeping our eyes on the second phase of the easing of the shutdown restrictions, the number of new infection cases has rebounded today to 7. Not very good news, but not too bad.
Yeah, because it from imported case of Thai who returned from Pakistan. And they are the cases of infection in state quarantine area, Kun Thepchai. So it's not among ordinary population around the country. So at least we can feel a bit relieved of that increasing infections.
That's right. So that is a result of the so-called active case finding by medical personnel who have been conducting tests at different levels to make sure that those who are infected will be quickly identified. And so today that means there is no report of infections among the members of the general public. So that's another one positive aspect of the situation.
And probably people are aiming at visiting department stores, shopping malls again on Sunday, Kun Thepchai, because that part of easing restriction in second phase. And they also shorten curfew hour from 10 to 4 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning.
So that means starting this Sunday, life will return to normal to a larger degree. So this is probably one of the best piece of news today, the shortening of curfew hours. So that means that we can go home a little bit late, starting this, most likely this Sunday, right, Kun Nata?
Yes, that corresponds with allowing of the reopening of shopping malls, but they will be allowed to be open until 8 o'clock at the night time. So now let's take a look at the business that will be reopened on Sunday. That's the result of major meeting among CCSA committee. And they have concluded that on 17th of May, or this Sunday, the group of business that can resume are department stores, shopping and community malls, but the closing time has to be at 8 o'clock. Restaurants and food shops, but they cannot serve alcohol. Retail and wholesale stores, construction materials and furniture, body care clinics, and sport gyms, but for non-body contact sports. That is only group that is allowed to open for sport gyms, Kun Thepchai.
That's right. And other businesses that will be allowed to reopen also include fitness centers, but only for free weights exercises. Otherwise, the rest of the exercise will not be allowed. Swimming pools has been a debatable point. So swimming pools, both public and private, will be allowed to open outdoors and indoor. But of course, the operators have to make sure that they limit the number of swimmers at one time in the pool. And convention and meeting facilities catering only to companies or organizations will be also allowed to reopen, including libraries, galleries, and museums. So this is quite a lot, of businesses that will return to normalcy starting this Sunday.
But not quite normal as we know it, because people who would like to return to use this kind of service, they would have to register. And all the department stores, shopping malls have to have their own service of using application, tracing application, Kun Thepchai. So shoppers have to scan their QR code to check availability of the queue and to check whether people who use service before or after them will likely to get infection. That's part of Thailand Victory or application of Thai Chana to try to trace the risk cases of infection.
Yeah, and now let's take a look at the range of businesses that will continue to stay closed. They include movie theaters, bowling alleys, skating rinks, karaoke lounges, amusement park, zoo, sports tournaments, sales promotion activities, convention and meetings halls, exhibition sites, cram schools, and of course boxing stadiums and martial arts school. These businesses, Kunata, will will stay closed at least for the time being. And we are not quite sure whether in the next phase of the easing, these businesses will be allowed to reopen or not.
Yes, if we consider from the 4 groups of business, the first 2 groups that are allowed to reopen are white and green groups, which are considered having less risk than yellow groups and red groups, which are not allowed to reopen. Especially the business group that Khun Thepchai has just explained are group which contain a large number of people, and it still has to remain closed. And the next group of business that will remain closed are amulet display sites, waterfront and sports parks, massage and Thai traditional massage spa, beauty and weight clinics, tattoo and body piercing services, seminar, training, trade exhibition parties, hotel events, and location shooting cannot be more than 50 crew members in one time, Khun Thepchai.
That's right. So these easing, these relaxing should definitely help relieve the pressure on the business, the private businesses, which have suffered quite heavily from the shutdown over the past 2 months. And of course, we certainly will see some return to some semblance of normalcy starting this Sunday. And of course, we can expect department stores, shopping malls, community malls to be packed with people. As we have seen in the past 1 week or so, right, after the easing in the first phase, people have flocked to the many restaurants and to beaches to enjoy the newfound freedom.
Yeah, but the practice of visiting department store cannot be the same as we know it, of course. And probably the shoppers will have to queue up in front of the department store to register, because the density of people in one time have to be calculated according to the space of the department store. So probably if some shopper will have to wait outside of the shopping malls, of the department store before they can get in to check their temperature, and it has to follow the density of each department store as well.
Yeah, it's something unprecedented, something very new. So we don't know yet how things will turn out on the day that department stores and shopping malls reopen. Whether all these new regulations will be applied and how they will apply, or whether or not the shoppers will try to comply with them. It should be interesting to find out what the situation will be like at these major department stores.
Yes, especially for clothes shop, shoe shops, probably they will have to provide some extra measure to prevent customer from having infection, especially in the fitting room of the clothes shop. They would have to have some kind of extra measure to prevent the likelihood or the probability of having infection, Khun Thepchai. So each shop will have their own extra arrangement. And for restaurant, if we visit as a family members, we cannot allow, or we are not allowed to sit in one table at a family restaurant. It means that we have to keep social distance among family members.
Yeah, it's something quite controversial. There has been a lot of debate about this, because it would certainly look strange that members of the family, go to, say, a restaurant in one car together, 2 or 3 or 5 of them, but once they get there, they need to separate and eat at a different table. So it's something that's quite peculiar to many people.
Yes, that's very new practice indeed. But from reports from Australia that I saw in the beginning of this week, it was quite interesting, because after they reopened the country in Australia, people just flocked into the department store and they didn't quite respect the social distancing measures at all. That's what I saw from what happened in Australia.